I'll tell you, for my money, nobody's better than Neil Steinberg. For years and years and years, he's written columns that are smart, insightful, funny. And here's the weird part, true. You know, if you can write your gig is to write your column, your opinion on things, but you can back it up with facts. Well, he's just a great writer is all he is. And that's all I can do in an introduction for Neil. He didn't write a single word of that. I said all that myself.
I was going to say, you're a pretty good writer yourself. I couldn't do better than that.
No, really. And you know I'm a fan, been a fan forever. Let's talk about a couple things, starting with one that's less important than the other. Cicada sex.
If I see any more cicadas having sex, I just don't need it anymore.
Do you feel scarred? Do you feel scarred, Jane, by the cicada sex?
There's so much cicada sex happening. It's everywhere all weekend long. These bugs, they're disgusting.
So, Neil, what we know is from science, and this show, of course, is all about science, but we know from science is when the cicadas hatch, they get to humping as fast as they possibly can, and they make more noise from that, which is part of the reason they're so loud. Dr. Steinberg, would you like to add anything to that?
I couldn't help kind of draw a line between them and us. You know, a lot of times nature shows you your own story like in sped up form. And so I said, you pop out of a dark place, you grow up really quick, you mate, you drop your eggs and die. And that's kind of people too. You know, we embellish it with symphonies and artworks and chess classes and stuff.
True.
But it's still the same thing.
Circle of life.
Wow.
They're just their circle smaller.
It's the truth.
Right. So, the media is having Cicada Palooza, and I kind of sit on the sidelines and raise my finger and I say, and that's kind of my job, too. Although today's column was really like it was Tuesday and I had to say something.
Sure. No, I get it.
That's the beauty of a daily column, though. You a lot of times there are things that just you wouldn't put in the paper, but you got to do something. You can't. I've been writing a column for 27 years. They never said, I just don't have an idea today. Why don't you just do a blank, a dotted blank space and tell people to color it with their crayons? That doesn't. You don't keep your job doing that. And as my wife always says, because I go, I don't know what to write. She goes, that's when you do your best column.
Yeah,
spoken like a good wife.
Yeah, and the other thing too is I don't know if you suffer from this at all, Neil, but I can't do anything until I have to do something. So when the pressure's on, I perform at a high level. It's one of the reasons that maybe I'm good at this, maybe I'm not. But, when the pressure's on I don't have a lack of words to say.
Well, maybe it's a quality of getting older, but I find myself sort of like trying to avoid that pressure. Like I get a jump on things. Like today is Wednesday.
Oh, you're a better man than I am.
And I kind of thought I better start thinking about the column so I don't wake up on Thursday and go, what now, Lord?
Yeah.
But luckily I'm going downtown to go to the CSO rehearsal. So I've got anything that gets me out of the house is good.
And that's why Neil's column tomorrow is Spit Valve.
No, tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah.
So I did that trumpet column. It's very funny how that happened. That big piece on trumpets came because I took a cat to Phoenix last August. I'm always amazed at the chain of circumstance. We don't have enough time to explain.
Wait, you took a cat to Phoenix?
Taking my son's cat to Phoenix directly led to me sitting with Esteban Batallán, the lead trumpet at the CSO.
How about
talking
that?
About his horn. There's a musical instrument museum in Phoenix, and I went there and I noticed all the trumpets.
I've been there. It's amazing.
It's
so great.
It's my mission in life to tell people. It's like
you gotta go.
Move for instruments.
Everything.
It's worth going to. I never thought I'd say these words. It's worth going to Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I've been there 3 times since August.
The Louvre for instruments. Very nice.
It is the Louvre for instruments.
The CEO of Target, I'm a museum geek, and after about the first 4 hours there, I looked up, I said, especially being in the radio business, Steve, you'd love this. It's incredible. I got to say it. Yeah, it's there's Sedona, there's hiking, there's all sorts of wonderful things, but that museum, and I think the CEO of Target created it, so it's like a money be damned sort of. It's really well done. The restaurant's great. It's just, it's really, if you find yourself, it was 111 degrees.
That's what you do when it's super hot in Phoenix. It's called MIM, Musical Instrument Museum. I did a segment there once. It's a really great place.
And you get inside and you stay inside, but you want to stay inside someplace you want to be, and this would certainly be that. All right, I saw the mayor on Monday when I hosted the Memorial Day remembrance. And on Michigan Avenue, and we had a brief conversation about him being on this show since he / his people have not been on this show in a year, even though they said they would last year, and he said he would again this year. So
good luck with that, Steve.
Yeah. Well, I had like 600 days of waiting for Madigan, and oddly enough, he never showed up. So, but
I thought Lori Lightfoot was bad. I mean, at least Lori Lightfoot, you could go in and have coffee off the record. I mean, I saw him once. I happened to be in City Hall meeting with one of the accessible politicians who thinks we live in a democracy, and Brandon Johnson came in like with this flying wedge of policemen, and he had a look in his eye like a terrified rabbit fleeing for its life. I tell you, I've gone from contempt to pity. I feel sorry for the guy. I just see him like making an X every day just until he can get out of there.
But here's the thing. I ask fair questions. You ask fair questions. Yeah, tough questions, but fair questions because tough comes with the job, and it's a job you want. It's a job you have. It's just part of your duty.
I would go talk about bees. There used to be hives. I think they're gone now on top of City Hall. We could go up there and talk. I mean, I don't care what we talk about. It's like I don't want to say I'm a slow softball, but when they show you into the ward and there's Timmy in bed, you don't start to do you know they're not your real parents, Timmy? I mean, you kind of try to gauge your question, to who you're dealing with. So at this point, I'm just going to sort of pat his hand and go there. Oh, this must be so hard for you.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think he had any idea what he was getting into. I think that is
doing today.
That is more than
That's
clear.
what I wanted Steve to say. How are you doing? Everything okay?
Yeah.
No, listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we really were, I mean, we do have problems. It would be sort of nice to have a mayor who's dealing with them. But if that's not possible. Okay.
Well, that's a good question to ask right up front. How can we help?
Yes.
You need a ride somewhere? How can we help?
That's the problem with Chicago. We're expecting this guy to do something for us, and the city should really be waking up every day saying, what can we do for Brandon Johnson? How can we make his life better?
You know what? On Kennedy's birthday, it's the perfect time to bring back that great Kennedy quote. Ask not what you can do for your country. Ask what your country can do for you. I think that's right.
We'll just use city
Wasn't
instead.
it? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it is sad. What can we say? Right?
All right. Now, I want to alert people to another one you can pull from the Sun-Times archives, and it's an important column you wrote about the ghost of Adam Toledo and ShotSpotter. The city council has moved to control the fate of ShotSpotter, and it appears that ShotSpotter will be savable. But it's unfair to ask you this, but in a minute or so we have left, summarize what you wrote.
Real quick, the question is, do you want the cops to respond when people start shooting? And to me, if I lived in those neighborhoods, most people who live in those neighborhoods say yes.
Of course.
The fact that every once in a while a cop makes a mistake is not a reason not to have law enforcement. And the ShotSpotter seems to work. The cops certainly like it, and I think they're sort of a judge of what makes their job easier. And, Adam Toledo was a tragic mistake, but mistakes are going to happen when you expect people to go where the bad guys are and try to stop things. So,
and people can get that at suntimes.com?
Absolutely. Neil Steinberg and Adam Toledo. It should pop right up.
All right. So what about social? Where do we follow you there?
Twitter. I have a blog every blank day, which I can't say on the radio, and Neil Steinberg on Twitter, and my blog is probably the best way to go. It's called Every Blank Damn, however you say it, Every God Blank Day.
GD.
Yeah, and it's a fun one to share with Grandma and the kids. Steinberg for those of you who are spelling challenged. Thank you, my friend.